Hi Earthlings. Okay, no book. Now, hope everyone's doing great. It's time of new moon in Aquarius 2024. Also, the beginning of the year of the dragon. Now, as I've explained in a couple of previous videos about the narrative, alright? So, here's another one, and that's everybody going off about the Jezabel spirit. The Jezabel spirit, turns out that's an American invention. It's only popped up, but people don't read their Bible. And because people don't read their Bible, someone says a thing and everyone just hooks onto it, and it's completely make-believe. Okay, let me tell you a story about Jezebel. So back in the day, when the first separation happened, Solomon dies. Remember, he was only 50 years old, 55 max, and the 11 of the tribes of Israel, that's because the tribe of Joseph was split into two, Manasseh and Ephraim, says, look, we're leaving, okay? So they went over to the area that is called Samaria. And the people of the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin stayed in Salem. Now Salem became Jerusalem. You'll find out why, because the kings there all start with Jehu, for, I don't know, a few years. So I guess that's why, they took over there, which that's the area that they were bringing the salt out from, okay? Now, in the trade market, so the story of Ahab and Jezebel. So Jezebel, everyone's like, nobody's got the name Jezebel anymore. Well, in actual fact, they do, because that's Isabel. So quite a lot of people got the name Isabel, and you'll find it through royalty over and over and over and over and over again. So let me tell you the story. Ahab married Jezebel. She was not from one of the tribes of Israel. She was from Sidon, which is in Phoenicia. So she was from the neighboring area of Phoenicia, and he married out of the family, okay? Now, what happened was she was a very devoted wife to her husband, Ahab, and obviously she loved her husband. So what happened was Ahab's building this vineyard, and he's got these this grove of fruit trees and stuff, and it gets to this time where he wants to expand this way, okay? And there's a fence here, and on the other side of this fence is this property of Nabor. Interesting that his name is Nabor, because neighbor. But anyway, so Ahab goes on his chariot, and he hops on down there to Nabor, and he's like, hey Nabor, oh, look, I'm after a bit of expansion. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push my vineyard this way a bit, so I've got some more fruits and stuff like that for everyone, the wine and stuff like that. Will you sell me your land? I will give you a decent amount of money for it, quite a lot. I'll give you like gold for it, and also you can choose whichever piece of land you want to live on. And Nabor said no. So he couldn't be persuaded. Ahab went back home, and he was sitting around like, and Jezebel came over, and she was like, Ahab, what is wrong? He was like, oh, I don't know what to do. I want to expand my vineyard, but this guy Nabor, he is like, no. And it's the only piece of land that I need so that I can push everything out. And he's like against it. So Jezebel says, look, don't worry about it, okay? I'll go down and I'll sort it out. So Jezebel went down. She saw Nabal. She was like, Nabal, my husband's really sad. All he wants to do is just push this vineyard, expand it out through this way, in this direction, and that's your land. He's prepared to pay you a lot of money. And, you can have any land anywhere you like. Would you be agreeable to it? And he said, no. Now, that really upset Jezebel, because you know what women are like? We're a little bit more emotional. And so Jezebel went home, and she was like, what an asshole. Right, get my wise men and stuff in here. We'll have a bit of a meeting about this neighbour. So they do, and she says, I could kill him. And one of the wise men's like, hey, you know what? That's not a bad idea, because if you do kill him, then guess what? Who owns the land? You can take it. She was like, righto, that's the only way out of this. We're going to have to do it. Let's kill him. Now that is her sin, because Nabal was murdered, then Ahab did take the land. So anything else they say about the spirit of Jezebel is a bit make-believe, and this is the true story about the spirit of Jezebel, who was on the side of her husband and was so angry that she could have had a man killed. Okie dokie, that's it. Okay, that is it. Now, this Jeroboam, remember Jerusalem, Jeroboam, he was a bad king down in Jerusalem there. Anyway, he got Ahab murdered. But by the time Ahab was murdered, Jezebel had already had a son, just one son. She never married again. She was the queen who raised her son and kept him safe, of course. And when they wanted to take over the territory of Samaria, which is, I think it's Jeroboam again, he rode in, and this is how Jerusalem's named after him as well, really. And it says that she put on her makeup and her finery, she dressed in all her jewels and stuff like that. She wasn't being ostentatious or anything like this. She was dressing as a queen from a land, Phoenicia, very old, a lot more history, kind of like Russia, with an ancient history. You look at that Kremlin, the doors are like go freaking 12 feet high, and the things inside of the stuff's made of gold. It's crazy. Okay, anyway, she came from old stuff. That's what I'm saying. Now, in the Bible, there's a book called the Book of Hosea. Now, a lot of Christians know jack shit about the Book of Hosea. That's because they don't read the Bible. They just go to church, listen to what the preacher says, and go home. But the Book of Hosea talks about his wife, Gomer. And Gomer was a prostitute. And many times Hosea was like, come home and be with your family, your children, and all this sort of stuff. And she was like, no, actually, I'm not. I'm going out with one of my clients because I want to get that vineyard. I want to get that fig grove, things like this, okay? Now, if you read the story of Hosea, you'll find that the spirit of Gomer is what everybody's talking about as the spirit of Jezebel. For goodness sake, please do research. Don't listen to what people are programming into the old agenda that's going on lately, because you're being misled on purpose. And and it's almost like the sheep to the slaughter. I don't know, guys. I want to be really careful. Use your discernment. If you hear something, just say, and you're like, oh, is that for real? Go straight into the source. Get back to, not not the sun, but, find the information, okay? research. I love you all. Ka kite.